I spent last winter alone in a cabin I inherited from my grandfather. I didn't know him well. In fact, I barely remembered him at all. But after he passed, the place became mine. And I figured a few quiet weeks in the mountains would help me reset. It was deep in Pine Hollow Forest, far from the main road, no neighbors, no traffic, nothing, just snow, trees, and silence. On my first night, I found something weird, a folded note inside the wood stove. The handwriting was shaky, but it was definitely my grandfather's. It said, "Do not look out the windows after midnight. It knows when you look." I laughed at first. I assumed he was losing his mind near the end. But by the second night, I stopped laughing. Around 12:15 a.m., I heard tapping on my bedroom window. Not like a branch or blowing snow. This was rhythmic, slow, metallic taps. Tap, tap, tap. I sat up in bed, confused. My phone said 12:17 a.m. I walked toward the curtains, ready to yank them open. But the second I reached out, I felt this heavy pressure in my chest, like instinct was yelling at me. I froze. The tapping stopped. For a few seconds, everything was dead silent. Then I heard something drag along the siding of the cabin, like metal scraping wood. I backed away from the window and didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, I found something worse. There were tracks circling the entire cabin. Not footprints, not animal prints. They were long, thin, curved, like someone had walked on ice skates. Later that day, I went into town for groceries. The cashier saw me buying a ton of firewood and asked where I was staying. When I told her the cabin was my grandfather's, her face dropped. "You shouldn't be up there in winter," she said. I asked why. She just shook her head and told me, "If you hear tapping, don't answer it." I pushed her for details, but she wouldn't say anything else. I felt feeling more freaked out than before. The cabin sat near a frozen lake. Around sunset, I decided to walk out there, mostly to prove to myself I wasn't losing it. That is when I saw something under the ice. At first, I thought it was a log or a shadow, but when I got close enough, I realized it was shaped wrong, like a stretched out human figure trapped just beneath the surface. I knelt down to get a better look. That is when it moved. I swear on my life, The thing under the ice turned its head toward me. I screamed and ran all the way back to the cabin. That night I found an old journal of my grandfather's behind a bookshelf. Most of the pages were destroyed, but the ones I could read said things like, "It comes when the lake freezes. Its footsteps sound like blades. It mimics voices. Never meet its eyes." The last entry said, "It followed me home. Window, midnight." Right then, I heard it again. Tap, tap, tap. This time, it wasn't just tapping. It spoke. Through the window, in a muffled voice, I heard, "Let me in." My heart dropped because the voice, it was my grandfather's. Then another voice joined in. My voice. "Come on, open the curtains." I backed into the corner of the room, shaking. Something hit the window hard, making the glass vibrate. Then came the whisper, "If you don't look, I will come inside." I don't know how long I stood there, frozen, but eventually I heard footsteps, those same metal scraping sounds moving across the roof. Whatever it was crawling around up there. I knew I couldn't stay inside. When the steps shifted toward the back of the cabin, I grabbed my keys, my coat, and ran out the front door as quietly as I could. The moment the cold air hit me, I heard it shriek behind me, this horrible, metallic, inhuman sound. I sprinted toward the lake. My only thought was that whatever it was probably couldn't move quietly on ice. I stepped onto the frozen lake, sliding a bit. Behind me, the creature burst out from between the trees. It was tall, unnaturally tall, thin, with legs that ended in long hooked blades. Its face looked carved out of ice, and its mouth stretched way too wide. And it yelled in my voice, "Stop running from yourself." It started gliding toward me terrifyingly fast. I did the only thing I could think of. I stomped on the ice, trying to break it. A crack formed, then another. The creature lunged, and the ice gave way beneath us. It plunged into the freezing water with a screech that didn't sound like anything from this world. I crawled back to solid ice and ran without looking back. They found me the next morning wandering the road, frostbitten and barely talking. I told the police everything. They said it was hypothermia shock hallucinations. A week later, the search team that went up to check the lake reported something strange. Chunks of ice around a hole, and long curved tracks leading back toward the forest. That same night, the rescue cabin radioed in a complaint. Someone or something was tapping on their windows. Tap, tap, tap. And a voice whispering through the frost, "Let me in."